When the Supreme Court first ruled back in January to essentially destroy all of the important rules about campaign donations in our country, President Obama warned about the consequences that very day. He then raised the Citizens United decision again just a few days later in his State of the Union address.
Last week, the Supreme Court reversed a century of law that I believe will open the floodgates for special interests, including foreign corporations, to spend without limit in our elections.
Famously, that statement from the president prompted Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito to angrily mutter, "That's not true," at the president. Turns out it is true. I'm sorry, Mr. Associate Supreme Court Justice. Turns out it is very true. And President Obama is now making shady and potentially foreign funding of conservative candidates a major campaign issue for Democrats in this year's elections. The president raised the issue yesterday at a rally to get out the vote for Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley. He raised it again at a Chicago fundraiser for Alexei Giannoulias, the Illinois Democrat who is running to fill President Obama's former Senate seat.
And they don't disclose who's behind the ads. Could be an oil company, could be an insurance company, could be Wall Street. You don't know. Almost every one of them is run by Republican operatives. They're posing as nonprofits, non-political groups. They've got these innocuous sounding names like Americans for Prosperity, the Committee for Truth in Politics, or Moms for Motherhood. I made that last one up. But you wouldn't know. Are you going to let special interests from Wall Street and Washington and maybe places beyond our shores come to this state and tell us who our senators should be? That's not just a threat to Democrats, that's a threat to our democracy.
Maybe from beyond our shores. When he says beyond our shores, what the president is talking about there is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which pledged this week to spend an unprecedented $75 million to defeat almost all Democratic candidates in this year's elections. They spend a few dollars on some conservative Democratic races, but essentially it's almost all anti-Democratic ads. They are spending $10 million this week alone. As part of its fundraising operation, the Chamber takes donations from foreign sources of funding. That's something the group does not deny. They just want us to be assured that they have internal systems of some sort to keep that foreign money separate from their campaign funds. They say they have a system, an internal system that we can't see, but we should just trust them about it. As part of its excellent reporting on this week, Think Progress revealed that at least $300,000 has been channeled into the Chamber of Commerce's coffers from foreign companies in India and in Bahrain. They get money from all over the world, but even just looking at those two countries, India and Bahrain, it's $300 grand to the Chamber at least. Then today, lo and behold, the Chamber of Commerce welcomed members of the Bahrain Bank Association to Chamber headquarters in Washington. The reception advertised right there on the Chamber of Commerce's website. Quote, Bahrain Minister of Finance, Central Bank and Bahrain Ambassador will be attending. Maybe the delegation is here for a kick-the-tires tour of the new American Congress they are purchasing. Can't let you take her out for a drive just yet, but she's a beaut, isn't she? Joining us now is MSNBC political analyst and senior political editor at the Huffington Post, Howard Fineman. Howard, great to see you. Thanks for your time.
Hi, Rachel.
So are there signs that this is a full-scale Democratic messaging effort? Are they going to try to make this a big deal?
Well, Barack Obama typically did it in a gingerly fashion today, but yes, it could be. Now, just talking about the lack of spending limits or money in campaigns per se is not a primary sales tool for Democrats, or really for anybody, because people are so cynical about the political process, it actually kind of protects everybody who's in it in an odd way. But if you tie it to loss of jobs, and especially to loss of jobs overseas, I think it could be, and I think the Democrats and the White House think it may be, a good issue for them. Because polling, and I've talked to all the top Democratic pollsters, they say the number one issue, clearly at the top of the list for polling, is loss of jobs to overseas sources and the role of foreign corporations in pulling jobs out of America and overseas. You know, out in a place like South Dakota, for example, example, where they have call centers. That's a big business. Where's that business going? India. Duh. I mean, it matters. So, yeah, if they do it that way, it could be a winner.
So that means that if Democrats really are going to push this, we should expect the sort of next shoe to drop to be efforts to make it clear that foreign interests are getting what they want from these Republican candidates that they are supporting, and also that the chamber itself supports outsourcing.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting about the chamber because I was talking to them late last week about all this. By the way, I'm sure you know this, but maybe all the viewers don't. The Chamber of Commerce is a gigantic, massive building directly across Lafayette Square from the White House. It's like they're glowering at each other. And so it's very symbolic of what's going on right now. The chamber people I talked to last week were saying, well, we've always taken some foreign money. Well, they changed their tune about that because under the law, as amended during the Cold War. It doesn't really go back to 1907 as far as foreign corporations and individuals. It's after World War II when the United States was concerned about, Soviet front operations and communist infiltration. That's the source of these bans on individuals, corporations, and foreign governments pouring money directly into American elections. And Alito was wrong because he didn't realize, maybe, what the chamber would do.
In terms of the political impact of this, I think that I'm guessing that the reason that the outsourcing issue, losing jobs to overseas, polls so well is that it's a very, very nonpartisan issue. That's the sort of thing that resonates with voters left, right, and center. Similarly, when that Citizens United ruling first came out, the polling showed that voters left, right, and center were at least initially horrified by this decision. Is the new rules about this, is that a potential crossover issue for Democrats?
Well, I think it could be, and if the Democrats wanted to start talking about evil influences from abroad, they could maybe do it. The problem is that Barack Obama is such a we are the world president and likes to pride himself on not pointing fingers around the globe. But I'll tell you, for voters and working people out in the country, especially for working men, many of whom have lost their jobs of one kind or another, not just in construction, but manufacturing and now service industries, an appeal that says foreign money is coming in and it's taking your jobs abroad through a place like the chamber, I think could be a very effective one, and for people on the left and the right.
MSNBC political analyst and senior Huffington Post political editor. Howard, I don't think I've publicly congratulated you on the new gig yet, but congratulations and thanks.
Thank you, Rachel.